Hello and welcome to Seeds Part 2. We're gonna pop some seeds, we're gonna make some seeds, and they're not gonna be for sale, they're just for us. But even so, I wanna have the conversation. A big part of seed collecting, which by the way, if you notice, I've got a little bit of a seed collecting problem. This is a small part of the problem, but when you grow for a long time, I've noticed that there is a similarity. Oftentimes we're looking for the best. You start growing for a number of reasons, but certainly at the top of the list of living soil growers is we're in this pursuit for the best quality there ever could be. Now, put yield with that, that's great. So a lot of times what happens is we hear these stories, we buy seed packs, and every pack of seeds, it's like, this could be the winner in here. Like one of the seeds that's in here could be the best thing that had ever existed. And not even recognition, like I don't think anybody's like, I wanna be known for finding the best one ever. It's like, fuck, we just want it. And then when you grow that, it's almost like cheat codes, because you share it, people are like, fuck, what is that? That was so loud, that was so tasty. And it's like the recognition that you're looking for when you work this hard carrying water, caring for plants for months at a time. Essentially, it's a similar feeling to preparing a meal for someone. And if you can prepare the best, where literally the expression on their face shares with you their delight in the flavor, every single component that you painstakingly worked for to have that effect, and they're like, oh, this is the best. To me, that's probably why there's a lot of people that collect seeds. Beyond that, you get to barter, trade with friends, you create relationships. It's almost like, hey, what's in your pocket, what's in mine? And then eventually, when you can only grow so much, it ends up being like, what kind of seeds do you like? And you kind of hoard it, like, ooh, that's gonna be a limited release. I really want that, even though I don't have time to grow it. And you start looking at your seed collection and you're like, it'd take a lifetime to grow all of these, especially when there's plant count numbers. I mean, I'd ideally like to pop 10 packs of these at a time, put them in beds and just pheno hunt. And then when I find something that I really like, actually buy more packs of that and go through dozens of hundreds of the exact same type of seeds so I can pick the ultimate keeper. And when you read, like we brought a textbook on breeding, and we're gonna be discussing this as we go through the series, mainly because I want a non-emotional, like third-party source that we can discuss things from. So I'm not an expert breeder, I don't wanna claim to be, we're just gonna be basically chucking pollen, making seeds. And the difference, in my opinion, is that breeding is a specific term for actually causing an effect that's desired, understanding what it takes to get there, and probably going through a high population count to understand the percentages so that you know what you're going to get as you start to produce. If you cross a purple plant and a green plant, there's gonna be a certain percentage of purples and greens, and you can start to compound that, so eventually what you breed is all purple. And that's only one characteristic. And so it's like a Rubik's Cube. You look for purple and all of a sudden you're lowering yield or branchiness, and so to get a unicorn of everything, it takes somebody who can understand this. That takes a lot of experience, but if you're selecting for what you want, that's how everything that we eat in vegetables was made. I'm not sure if you know this, but most of the plants, like Google it, you can Google, where did our vegetables come from? And you can look up like the mustard plant, and you'll be so surprised to find like broccoli and all these other plants that look nothing like it, fully originating from selecting the one that had a little bigger flower, or was better for harvesting, or tasted better. And originally that was kind of like the heirloom seed process. And a lot of people talk about preserving genetics. A lot of these are polyhybrids of similar parental background, just because what's popular is popular. Everybody grabs it and breeds with it. And so we've discussed going back to the building blocks, the colors of cannabis, so to speak, in episode 1 of the seeds. And that's where I showed you some of these landrace seeds, if you remember. Like this is Durban Poison landrace, and this is from Coastal Seed. We also talked about McCormick and his seed company. And this is the Northern Lights. As a grower who actually interacts with the plants, stuff that is easy to grow, it doesn't have mold and mildew and lankiness and all these issues that are associated with pursuing only one portion of breeding for flavor or for yield or whatever it is. And so just like anything in life, when you learn how to do it for yourself, you start to consider, what would I want to impart on the plant? First time I remember growing, I'm like, oh man, this plant is a pain to trim. I don't want to grow it again. Where other plants, you're like, wow, that one was super easy to trim. I like that. And so if that happened to also be the best, it would be desirable to have it to be less work to trim. And so all of those things come through experience from growing. And when you're making your own cross, all you're trying to do is impart some of those things. So going back to building blocks would be getting, like when you even look at, in this book, it talks about powdery mildew resistance, and they're taking wild tomato plants and infecting them with powdery mildew versus the highly hybridized, selected grown ones. And we do inbreeding to do that. And what do we know about animals and humans? Inbreeding causes problems. But that's basically what plant populations do when we're trying to back cross, in cross, all the terms we'll eventually talk about. But that can create some issues. And so when we go back to the building blocks, it's not like we're gonna get these crazy odors that are coming out of some of the newer ones, but we might be able to find the origins of that. And some of them still do exist. It just may not have all the other things that go with it. And so imparting those genetics gives you like all of the, when you look at DNA, it may be that on some of the newer seeds that we're crossing, because they're from similar parental backgrounds, there might be however many of these DNA, like allele sites, if you picture the whole chain. Let's say there's 100, I don't even know, I'm not a breeder at all. Well, what if 30 of them are the same in everything? And as you cross them, they never differ because they all have it in there. And as soon as you go back to the building blocks, all of a sudden there's some differences, recessive and dominance, and that's where you get a red-haired kid out of two brown-haired people. And so that's where some stuff can get interesting. And when you're looking for stuff in high populations and then you want to lock it down, that's where you can open up populations of stuff that maybe was very unique. And apart from finding the best of the best, just like food, just like anything else, there's trends that seem to happen. And those trends follow flavor lines when they're popular, or follow like sometimes people like gassy stuff, or for a while there was really like citrusy was really popular and then people get sick of it. And so just like anything, there's like waves that go through the community. But when we're looking to create what we want for ourselves, we can truly start to pick that out. And the other thing that we're looking for besides the best is uniqueness. If you go to a grow competition and all 10 entries are GMO, it's going to be maybe boring for the judges, so to speak. But if you have that uniqueness, or let's say you go there and everything has the same like hazy smell and some of them are fuely, but there's one that is indescribably different and uniquely different from everything you've ever smoked in your life. It's not like, what is that? And all of a sudden the brain's racing, like how do I describe that? How do I anchor that in my mind for what I've smelled before? Is it like a hybrid of this and this? And you'll see people like trying to, like, what does this smell like to you, you know? And so what I would want is something very unique that I'd never experienced before, because variety is so important when it comes to enjoying cannabis. It affects the brain differently, different terpene profiles. So apart from uniqueness, which I would be looking for, I want to make something for myself over the years that I would be really, really happy to share with a friend and know that they're gonna get very easy to grow, super disease resistant, very healthy, and produce something that is super desirable to smoke again and again and again and again and again. And to me, that would be the jar that I've just always want to have on my shelf no matter what else I have. Even though I like certain things on the plant, when I have a whole bunch of jars of variety, I know which jars kind of go first for me. And for me, I typically go to the fuel first, and I like to have a complementary citrus or sweet, something like that, to have both in my stash at the current time, which means I need to be growing both all the time. So I'm gonna be selecting through some of these. We've already talked about some seeds that we can pick from, and I showed you these seeds that had some stories behind them, the Long Valley crosses, some landrace stuff. I wanna talk about another part of my collection. Seeds don't last forever. They're definitely seeds that you can pop from 10, 20 years ago and still have some success, but you're gonna have probably a lot lower success rate. So if you've only got 3 seeds from 5 years ago, storage is probably the best thing. And so all of these are typically kept in a refrigerator at my house. Even if I get a new pack and I wanna pop them, I usually put them in the fridge for a little while to mimic nature, coming out of winter, warming up, getting ready to germinate. And you'll find a lot of other growers do similar things. We're trying to mimic nature. That's part of growing in living soil. So I took a lot of these out. Most of these will go back into the seed vault, but I did it for a number of reasons. One, just to take inventory of what we've got and start to plan ahead for the future. And another, to discuss seed hoarding and what it's like to be a grower and what can happen to you if you don't watch yourself. A lot of these were bartered. Some of them I spent money on, but eventually what happens is you realize that there's not enough time in your life to pop all the seeds. You end up wanting to just get through them, start popping some seeds instead of buying more, so that you can get to the place where you can buy more again, because obviously it's a problem. But that's what I want to do. So I want to pick some older seeds that I've had for a while and actually go through some of them. I can't pop unlimited amounts because I'm just looking to do 2 packs and pick a couple males from them, and like I said, just make seeds. It's not like I'm going to be able to hunt through lots of them. But I wanted to talk about it, so let's go through some seeds. I'm not going to make any immediate decisions right now, but I just wanted to share with you some of the backstories here. Let's just start in the top. So if you notice the banner back here, Orchid, he works here. Dave answers a lot of your questions. What's up, Dave? He's typing to a customer right now. One of the things at BuildASoil is we always support growers, for growers, by growers. And it's been truly an honor to have employees that worked here create their own product lines, people that are local create their own product lines, people that I knew from the forums back in the day that we've been able to take on. And so really create that authenticity, because it's us. It's all of us that love this stuff that are doing it. And to continue that honor, I've grown a lot of Dave's seeds from Orchid just because he's our local breeder. and I want to support him, and he does a really good job. I've got Lauren's Light F2, which is one of his classics. It was named after somebody that he knew, and she passed, and it's a Bubba Kush Cincy Burn OG. And Bubba Kush is kind of one of those classics that a lot of people can place a flavor or a time in their life on because it was very prevalent. And then we've got this Lemon Brulee Death Star 79 Christmas tree bud. And this is kind of it's a collab with another local. This guy comes in on his Harley, he's old. He's been a grower forever, he's got a greenhouse and works with some local homies, and he collected the pollen off the Death Star Christmas tree bud that he crossed, and we gave it to Dave to throw on his Lemon Brulee, and that I think was from Covert. And so like it like weaves together, and that'll happen to you if you do this for a long time. So those are some possibilities. I also got this really cool one, which if you've followed me for a little while, I love Hawaii and it's close to home. This one's called Broke de Mouth, which if you've never visited, Pidgin is a language that developed from all the different backgrounds of people with different languages working on the big farms, pineapple plantations and all that. And all of them together would be from different countries, and they'd be trying to communicate with each other across those lines. And so a lot of unique language came out. And one of the common things that you hear when you go out there is if the food's really good, they say, I broke the mouth. It's that good. And so this seed company, 808 Genetics, they use a lot of the local terminology in their genetics, and I love that term. And there was an opportunity I had to help a buddy out with his pizza business. We did something real small, and he ended up sending the seeds to us, and I thought it was really cool. So there's like a story behind it. It's got a really cool bottle. The seeds look beautiful, and I'd have to look up the cross to tell you what it is, but it sounded pretty good. I remember looking at it. I've not grown those yet. So if I chose that, it may be, I don't know what I'm gonna get. So a lot of times if I'm going through this and I'm choosing to breed, I might choose something that I really know what it's gonna impart. Look for a male there, and then I might just pop packs to hit females with to see what they impart. And then I could start to sell the difference between what the male that I breed lots with actually does to the plants, like noticing, hey, it always gives this to the plants that I breed with. There's a place for unknown seeds, but most of the time I'd probably grow that, see if it's worth my while. Then I'd take the keeper from that, then I would take the keeper male. So breeding can take a long time, and that's part of why there's value to these seeds. Everything you're buying is like 6 months, a year, 10 years of someone's life. Up until recently, it was very illegal. Even right now, plant counts that people get to breed are illegal, and so there is some risk to it, and that's why a lot of these seeds cost a lot of money. That being said, there's some old school breeders out there that have been doing this for the love for a long time, and a lot of times you can pick up phenomenal seeds for a really low price. Boneyard Seeds I want to talk about. He's been around for a long time. If you don't know him or follow him, he's just been in the industry forever. When I was on the PFA is where I first met him, Probiotic Farmer Alliance. He was always in there helping other growers, and he was laying down straight facts, oftentimes quoting textbooks, things like that, so that people knew their information they were getting was accurate. Like a lot of times you'll see a question on Facebook and 30 wrong answers below because people are just trying to help. And they're like, more CalMag, overwater, just russet mites, like every stupid comment you can think of. And then Boneyard would come in there and be like, this is exactly what's happening. And not everybody would listen, but I knew, bro, that guy knows what he's fucking talking about. And then I actually got to meet him at the Emerald Cup. We hung out, smoked a whole bunch. I didn't have a place to stay because I didn't know how busy it got during Emerald Cup, and I ended up staying in his room for quite a while with a few other people. And I've grown a lot of his seeds, and I think that for the value that you get and the male that he's been able to keep around for most of his breeding life, you get a really good duplicatability, you get great yield, you get good quality. And so while he is breeding for what is for medicinal effect and breeding for what he wants, just like every breeder, you often won't find some crazy hype names there. You'll find some really old school genetics and some of the newer stuff, but you don't hear about a lot of these breeders that are super authentic. A lot of them, kind of like in music, it's like the latest hype is all you hear about. And so I'd really encourage you to go check out Boneyard Seeds. Phenomenal breeder, and you'll find a lot more about his stuff. He's gone through some hardships in life. He's got one leg right now due to his infection. I mean, he's gone through it all, man. He's lived life. I've got a number of packs I'd like to pick from because they're close to the heart. So I'm more than likely gonna pop a Boneyard. Real quick, let's just go through some of them. So Three Kings and G-Wave OG. What do I want? There's a few that I picked out that I wanted to cross. Like, so here's a Poison Toad. He did a Durban cross, and I have a Durban Poison Landrace, and so I thought it might be fun to use the similar building blocks, if that makes sense. Now, let me rip this open so you can see his card. And that'll tell you like recently like what they are. So Poison Toad is Durban Poison and Angel. Angel is his male, and he names them after his family members. And so you can see all these have Angel in them. That's what he's known for. And I'd mess it up if I told you what Angel was. I know it was an alien Kush and like LA. Boneyard will tell you, okay? This one is interesting to me, Space TV. He did an original Haze F3 to his male. This is similar to what I told you I want to do. Find some original Haze or find some Durban Poison, something longer flowering, and bring it to something shorter, more yielding. And so that might be exciting. He also sent me this Angel Berries, which I only got a few seeds left, and what I found in there was really good. I wanted to search more, but he had the pre-98 blueberry from DJ before the house burnt down, before the whole story changed. And what you can find, I got a pack of blueberry I didn't even put on here because I grew it and it wasn't very good. But the story is before 98, when he held the keys, it really was fire. And this was bred with that. So there's a lot of things in here that I want to go through. And I'm not picking right now. I just want to reiterate, I'm just like going through this for myself. I'm having conversations with you can see. Then I'm going to pick, and I want you to kind of have this backstory, what we went through, what we chose, why, and we're going to get after it. We're going to start teaching and start talking about all these things. If it goes well, maybe we'll be able to bring the breeder on for who we choose and have some conversations with them about like why they made it. I mean, this could go a little bit deeper because it's really fun for us. So I'm gonna go through and just go a little bit quicker and show you, because I could probably spend an hour here going through these. These are really rare. This is Heavy Days Genetics. If you guys follow the podcast, I did an interview on the podcast, and he does a different format. It's like hours long questioning, usually breeders. And I was pretty honored to be on there a while ago, and I heard it's a decent episode from the viewers. But when we would meet at the Emerald Cup, he'd fly all the way in from down under, and he brought some packs that he made. And I grew some Phantom crackers, and I really enjoyed it. And he's also got this Rafiki, which is Skunk Haze Raspy Mama, and Patanga, which is Chernobyl Raspy Mama. And he interviews like all the best breeders. He's totally into this, and they're from overseas. So part of me is like, okay, one of these got to be it. We've got Emerald Mountain Seeds. Ross Truth, he's already passed away. We talked about the story of Long Valley Royal Kush. Well, this is an older pack. This is the Royal OG Truth. The problem with older seeds is, I know I haven't had them that long and they're already pretty old, so I'm not positive if they're gonna germinate. So I might germinate some of these, and we'll talk about germinating tech when we get there, meaning there's some tricks you could use on older seeds. I know that Boneyard has like a seed cracker that he's made. You can use gibberellic acid, aloe, fulvic acid. There's many tricks. For these older packs, we're gonna have to bust them all out because we don't wanna just waste a pack and have them not pop. That's something to consider. Got some Bodie in here. Bodie is, if you don't know Bodie genetics, this is what most of his packs look like. Got the green and gold, and he is the breeder's breeder. He travels around looking for interesting genetics and makes his own unique crosses, and has just been doing this for a long time. Most growers that I know have grown a Bodie pack and really, really like them. A lot of breeders that I know work with him because he's always been super open to people working with his stuff. And that's another thing, is I like to support breeders that I really like. We got Rootwise, which is Elk Valley Heirlooms. This is the Canyon Queen, which is part of that Long Valley story of where it ended up to preserve his genetics. This is the Good Seed Company. I was with Kevin from Rootwise in 2015 at the Emerald Cup, and we met these guys who were his homies that always grew from seed, and they'd keep their own seed and just call it what it was. So they kept their own sour diesel seed and called it sour diesel. Banana Split, which is Banana Kush Chocolate Sour Diesel. There's some fire in some of these old school packs. This is a gift from Nick Risden by way of Freeborn Selections. And when I was out at Emerald Cup that year, I actually met him, but he was, so Mean Gene was breeding for Aficionado, and they were together, and then that whole falling out and everything happened, and started his own company. And these pinas, I guess, is one of Nick Risden's favorite. And so that has some connection that I'd really like to get through. Some more Bodie packs. We got Capulators. So I mentioned the Miracle Alien Cookies. This is the Max Stomper. This is a sealed pack. We've grown some of these. I already have a mom at home of it. And so because we've done this before, that might make it its way back. Ooh, Alpha Chronic. Clancy. So this guy's been around for a long time, old school, fire genetics, and I really want to go through some of these before they get too old. I've got Rip City Perps, which is Purple Urkel Gobstopper. I've got like Purple Urkel. I was just talking about it. That was like, man, that was part of the thing. You'd go to the dispensary when it was like brand new thing, and you're like Purple Urkel and Snowcap and Trainwreck and Kush and Kush. So back in the day, one of the ones I really liked was Fire Kush, and this is Fire Dog. And so this is 707 Seed Bank. He makes a lot of chem crosses. And so I believe this is Chem 4 and Fire Kush called Fire Dog. That would be really interesting to me. I met Sonny Chiba at Emerald Cup, and he had this pack called Hussein Bolt, which is something that was special to him. There's only 30 packs, and I like something rare, and it got me, and I really want to pop these before they get too old. Another one of Dave's, Aukid, Fire on the Mountain. I think those are sold out. Fluffhead Snow Monster, that could be pretty cool. Put that over here. Oh, these. So I've grown some La Plata labs in the past, the Durango OG. And the Durango OG, I mean, it's resin railed beautiful, but it had no flavor. It's kind of like, it's like the white. It's like a good breeding stock, and so I thought maybe that would be fun to work with. But they also have these others, like Sour Pez, Flubber, supposedly has a ton of flavor, and is a really good resin producer, so I was interested in that. But I've had these for years. I'd like to pop some of those. Oh, Weed Should Taste Good, Miles. He makes our ferments, fermented plant extracts. I got a SFV Deep Chunk and Trogger back cross. I'm gonna have to ask him what the Trogger is. He told me and I can't remember. This is another local homie. In fact, he's gonna be opening a commercial grow locally, and he's been growing forever. Nep Jam Purple Satellite. If you've been growing for a while, you've heard some of these names. Buffalo Bill, I'll have to recall what that one is. His seed company is called Crunch Status Seeds. And that's Paco the old dog. God, there's just so much going on here. Okay, so these we've already run. This is Covert Genetics. We've been running Orchid and Covert in the tent. And it's because they're customers of ours and friends, and it's like, that's what we do. These Covert, he did the Chem de la Chem cross, which is the Chem D I-95 called Chem de la Chem. And because I liked it so much, he gave me a whole bunch of the seeds that were from that line, and I bought some as well, and we were just talking about it the whole time. And now I've got these packs I gotta pop. And I think the Great Pie Concord Chem is sold out. I really wanna pop that one. I also have some of his Chem Brulee from like handwritten from, I think, Indo Expo like 4 years ago, and I'm pretty sure there's none of this left. And this one you'll hear about. There's a lot of companies that are making Chem Brulee rosin, and it does really well testing wise. That'd be super fun to pop, as well as there's like a story there personally. Apollo Haze, there was a time where I was looking for lots of sativas and hazes, and that's what I really wanted to grow. Very frustrating to grow long flowering ones indoors, and so I don't always get around to it. But one in here that I really wanted to check out was Straw Nana Chem de la Chem. It's called Fruit by the Funk. Reason why is most people that run for hash, they tell me that the Straw Nana is one of the biggest dumpers in their garden. So they've got other ones that will make X amount when they wash it, and the Straw Nana is like double that. And so it's a very tasty, flavorful, tastes like strawberries and bananas. It yields well, makes great dabs. And part of me is just wondering if there's anything that has like that fruit and the funk in there, which I love the name, Fruit by the Funk. Those are pretty cool. And I think you can tell that we've got some decisions to make. Also, Bloom Seed Company. I've got Strawberry Pie, Strawberry Banana, Grape Pie Wedding Crasher, Peach Pie, which is Peach Oz F2 Grape Pie Wedding Crasher. And the reason why I popped these out is we did do the Papaya Oz Melon. It's growing in there. It's one of my favorite odors, something very unique. So I'm like, maybe that would be worth doing. Kid Kaya, local, absolutely check him out. Soleil de Minuet and Soleil Levant. And I've got some Soleil Couchant that I'm growing at home. And the plants are all really uniform and beautiful. And I know he's a connoisseur and has been kind of breeding behind the scenes for a while. That would be really interesting. Oh, one more. Okay, so Gorilla Glue 4 Black Lime Reserve. And that's from Oregon Chef. And so he's also from the PFA, a good friend, sent me some seeds, and he actually sent me a lot of crosses to the Black Lime Reserve, but this GG4 looked interesting to me since everybody loves some Gorilla Glue. It's nice to have a jar around. So what do we do? Essentially, for sure, I'm gonna find something old school, and I'm gonna be looking for a male there, and that's probably gonna be like my male. Eventually, I like to make a cross where I start to select from what I like and eventually lock down some parents that are made by me that I really like, and those will be our breeding parents, so to speak. And then going forward, I might take anything out there that is worth finding and then use the breeding stock, so to speak, that I've made, my parents, and start to do that. So in the beginning, all I want to do is take some landrace, take some favorite stuff, have to pop a couple packs, look for some males, look for some females, and I'd like to cross them both ways. So I'll take the male and the female, I'll cross it. Then I'll take a female from that pack and a male from this pack and cross it. And then we'll have to run those. And we might do those in the 10 by 10, I might do them at home. Once we do some selection on there, we'll have to bring this whole story back and decide what characteristics did we like, how do we lock them down, what are the next steps? And so this is not gonna be a short series. This could be a decade long. I will mention that the last video had a ton of comments, and I've already talked about a lot of breeders, so I'd imagine we're gonna have a lot of comments in here. I'd like you to share your experiences. It really helps us when you ask questions and so if you're not getting your question answered for whatever reason, it's totally okay. Like, you're not spamming us. Please remind us. You can put your question on multiple videos, and then it does two things. One, it will make sure that we get to that because we're gonna notice it for sure. It won't slip through the cracks. It'll increase it on the frequency in the back end. But YouTube loves it when we talk. When there's more comments on the video, but like, hey, there's a community there behind this video. So interact on here, ask comments, put the questions in. You're not gonna be spamming us. We really, really wanna discuss this. And last time there were so many comments. So for right now, I'll open it up to you guys and say, hey, I'm probably gonna choose whatever I want. A lot of you actually told me to do that because it would actually make the story real. But in here, is there something that you really, really wanna see me pop? I might just choose one that I want for sure, and then let the community choose the other one. And we'll start the project that way, and it might mean more to me in the future because of that. If you've got questions, put those in here. But if you also have questions about any of the other stuff in here, you can put them on this video because we want to see those questions too as we're going to do the next FAQ. That's the conclusion of this video. I wasn't trying to do much today other than have a seed talk to let you know we're working on this, we're gonna select the seeds, we're setting up the tent, we're gonna germ them, and we're gonna make seeds. And then during that time, we're gonna talk about the principles of plant genetics, what some of the terms you hear are, and have a lot of fun conversations. I'm hoping that this stimulates conversation enough that maybe we have a breeding expert on, maybe we get to talk to some of these actual breeders that make the seeds, and this turns into something. So let us know what you think, tell your friends, and thanks for following us. I'll see you guys in the next episode.